Hello, it's Greg Harrelson here, and I want to talk a little bit about marketing your listings, the listings that you just took. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you've talked to a seller after a few weeks, and the seller says, I'm just kind of curious, what have you done to market my home? What have you done to sell my home? In other words, a lot of times sellers think that all an agent does is take a listing, put it in the MLS or set it in the MLS, and then forget it, like the set it and forget it method. But I know that there are real estate agents out there doing much more. And I do believe that as professionals, it is our responsibility to handle the marketing of our listings. So I kind of want to talk to you about different marketing strategies that you can put into place and that are low cost that you can do for all of your listings. So I've got a list. I think there's 12 or 13 of them here. I'm just going to share with you some low cost strategies that'll help you market your listings. Number one, you could take the description. When you take the listing, you've got to write a description. You've got to take pictures. Well, why don't you take that description before you put it into the MLS, and why don't you blog it on your website? I'm sure your company probably offers you a website. If they don't, then I'm not sure exactly what to say about that. But if they do, then blog that using the pictures in your description. Blog it on the website. Get some exposure, on Google by doing that. That's a form of marketing. Of course, then you can put the pictures on Pinterest and then link them to that blog. How about that? So now you're broadening your net. You're casting a net over a bigger audience. You're blogging it on your website. You're putting the pictures on Pinterest, and then of course post it on Facebook. See, Pinterest, there's a lot of traffic there. Facebook, there's a ton of traffic there. On Google, our websites, there's a ton of eyeballs there. Traffic and eyeballs are practically the same thing, okay? And your job is to put your property in front of as many eyeballs as you possibly can, because if you increase the eyeballs that are looking at your property, you'll increase the showings. If you increase the showings, you'll increase the offers and the contracts and, of course, the closings, which is important. That is what these sellers are hiring you for. And then, of course, I suggest that you create a video, whether it be a video slideshow or a walkthrough video. You create that for that listing. And then you can create a unique website. Now, we do that because, we're linked in with corporate, Century 21. So every one of our properties, we're creating a website for. So again, that's another form of marketing. Instagram, how about post it on Instagram? How about create an ad on Craigslist to drive additional buyer leads to you? Now, I know Craigslist may not provide hundreds and hundreds of leads, but if you're posting an ad on Craigslist with all the specifics of your property, then you're going to be driving a few leads to you that want to see that property. So not only are you doing your job by creating more demand for your seller, but you're putting yourself in a position to double dip that particular property. You may not have ever done this, but Facebook has a Facebook Marketplace section where it's like a classified ads section. Go ahead and put your listing on Facebook Marketplace. Again, driving more traffic to you, so you might double in, but doing what you promised to do, which is create more demand and generate more buyer opportunities for that listing. Of course, Zillow advertising. Now, this one's a little bit tougher because a lot of people don't have money to put into Zillow to advertise those listings and generate buyer leads. I know the property's on Zillow as soon as you put it in the MLS, but the only people that are really getting the leads are the ones that are paying for Zillow. So you may want to consider doing that. Of course, I know that's a controversial conversation or subject, so I won't go too deep into that, but it is another way to give more exposure and, more importantly, create demand, get more leads for you to help sell that particular property faster and hopefully for more money. Again, these are the things that the sellers are hiring you for. And then, of course, you can put it on Google+. You can blog it on Google+. Now, Google+ may go away in the future, but there's plenty of blogs that you could put this information on. You could then promote the listing to the other agents in the marketplace before you actually get it into the MLS. I'm not saying hold it out of the MLS, but the minute that you get back to the office after getting that listing signed, take a moment to forward the information to a group of agents that will help you sell that property, and blast it out. send that notification and say, hey, this is a new listing I just took today. It'll be in the MLS in a few days, but I wanted you to have a heads up. That would be another great aggressive marketing strategy that's extremely low cost. Basically, it's free. It just costs you a little bit of time. Then create a flyer and send it to the agents that are working that type of property in the MLS. Don't send it to everyone in the MLS, but if you know that there's 100 agents that work specific price ranges or types of property, send that information to them to make sure, again, you're giving them notice that this property is coming on the market or it's on the market, and that will help you increase showings. And then, of course, you can start promoting to target buyers that you already have in your database. We have over 100,000 people in our database that at any minute we can go into that database and narrow down the 100,000 people to a smaller group that are at a certain price range, a certain property type, in a certain zip code, looking in a certain zip code. And then we can create a flyer and blast that flyer to all the buyers that are actively on our website right now searching other properties like this, so we can give them a heads up that this property is coming onto the market. Very important stuff. See, I believe you should do every one of those things because that's your job. People didn't hire us to put it in the MLS. People hired us to sell their property. Before we sell their property, we've got to market their property. And I believe a lot of agents are failing in the area of marketing, but it's not because they don't have the motivation. It's not because they don't have the desire to do the marketing. It's because they don't have the time. I mean, if you're getting a few listings every week or a few listings every month, and you had to run this strategy down and do this checklist of marketing tasks on every single listing, that would take a lot of time. So for us, I've got good news for the agents that are listening to this, that are in one of my companies. We actually do all this for our agents. When an agent gets a listing, everything that I just mentioned is automatically done as soon as they submit the listing. And on top of that, when it's done, we then create a document, a report that shows every single link that we blogged or posted or videos that were created. We give them a link to every one of those so they can see the marketing that's been done for their listing. But what's more important, they can actually forward that document to their seller and tell the seller that that's what they did as their listing agent, for them in order to expose their property and create more demand. So we do all the marketing for the agents. We then create a nice marketing document that says these are the things that have been done, and it's branded with the listing agent's name on it and their photo, if they use photos on their promotional pieces. So they can then forward that to their seller, again, with their branding on it, so they can say to the seller, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, this is what I've been doing for you. See, the key is you want to answer the question, what are you doing for me? What are you doing to sell my listing? You want to answer that question before your client asks the question. And the way that you do that is you get all this done on the front end when you first get the listing. In our particular case, we do this for our agents for free. This is a service that we provide for our agents to help them provide a better service to their client. And if they provide a better service to their client, then they earn the right to have a conversation later on about making a price reduction in the event the property doesn't sell. The worst thing to do is when you haven't done any marketing and then you go ask for a price reduction, the seller beats you up and says, well, you haven't really done anything. All you want to do is lower the price. Well, your sellers cannot say that if you've actually really done a lot of marketing and you showed them all the marketing that you're doing. I hope you find this helpful. Yes, you can duplicate this on your own. Of course, it does take a lot of time, or you could just consider, giving me a call and talking with me about how you can get involved in some of the marketing things that we're doing for our agents in the markets of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, or even Columbia, South Carolina. So if you're in any of those markets and you'd like to kind of be a part of these types of systems, give me a call, text me. Maybe we'll go out, have a cup of coffee, chat a little bit, and I'll see how I can help you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.